how's it going? So I am here today with Chris Christian. He is a fitness and nutrition instructor, and he also works with Hip Hop is Green, where you guys go into public schools and you give programs on vegan nutrition, pretty much, right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what got you here and if you've always been interested in fitness and nutrition?
Hello, everyone, first of all. As far as fitness is concerned, because that's probably what got me into everything else that I'm involved in. I started that in high school. On the track team, we started lifting weights, and I've been lifting weights ever since, which is quite a number of years. And then one thing led to another. I went away to college for a couple of years, came back, finished school here in Chicago, got a degree in graphic arts, believe it or not, but I was always involved in physical fitness. Got interested in personal training, started training about 22 years ago, and one thing led to another. So my journey is taking me from the gym to meditation and spirituality and study of energy and how energy affects the body and food as energy and energy that surrounds us every day.
What was your story with going vegan? When growing up and everything, did you have a typical standard American diet, and was there a transition there? Were you always pretty health conscious, or?
For the most part, my mother prepared pretty healthy meals, but they still included meat.
Mm-hmm.
The vegan thing for me came, I met somebody who was a vegan and introduced me to that lifestyle, and I tried it for about a year or so. And then that chapter closed, and so
mm-hmm.
I went back to mainly chicken and fish.
Mm-hmm.
And this is over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then mainly it was just mainly chicken and fish for the last, I don't know, maybe 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to these past 3 years. So I've been vegan for 3 years. So prior to that, those 3 years prior to that was mainly chicken and fish, and I kind of weaned myself off of it. But there was actually a Netflix series that pushed me over the edge.
Which series? Do you remember what the name of it was?
Yeah, it was called Unusual Animal Friends. And it just
Interesting.
showed different animals interacting with different animals as friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe a cat used to ride around on the back of a horse, and ducks and dogs were buddies. And
It's cute.
So to me, it pointed out, or it reinforced that animals have, soul, consciousness, awareness as well,
Mm-hmm.
just by the way they interacted with each other. And if you have a cat or a dog, you probably recognize that in your own pet. But I consider myself spiritual, and I just decided right then and there was no way that I could be consuming, flesh of other spiritual beings, because that has a certain energy or frequency to it, and I just didn't want that in my body. So that was it.
Interesting.
Just started like that.
Yeah, we were talking about meat once, and you described it in terms of energy.
I spent a lot of time in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm probably rarely ever sore. Plenty of energy, but I've always been energetic, and I've been working out my whole life. So, but just the slight differences as far as energy is concerned and soreness is concerned. Now, a lot of people that aren't vegan probably are afraid to, be a vegan if they're going to be trying to, build body mass, because they believe that you can't do it with plant-based foods,
Mm-hmm.
raw foods, but that's obviously not true. There's plenty of actual vegan bodybuilders that are, nice size.
It's true. A lot of athletes are going vegan now too.
No doubt. I mean, there's, professional basketball players, professional football players, baseball players
Mm-hmm.
that are vegans now, and there's more and more of them are, taking that path,
Mm-hmm.
the vegan path, because those people make money with their bodies. So you want to maintain your body to the highest fitness level as you can, especially if that's how you make your money. So if that type of lifestyle allows your body to heal faster and allows you to participate in your sport for a longer period
Mm-hmm.
of time, then you can make more money. So it
That's
just makes
true.
sense to take care of what you use to make your money. Just like if you were an Uber driver, you wouldn't be driving an old hoopty.
Right.
It breaks down every other block. You can't make money like that. So you
Right.
want to at least have a good vehicle to make your money. And if your vehicle is your body, then you want to take care of that. But, besides being an athlete, we could say that this game of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the vehicle that we play the game of life with.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take care of our vehicle that we play this game with.
Mm-hmm.
But when the vehicle starts to deteriorate, then our participation in the game is going to start to diminish.
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah. So
I really like the way you put that. So, what advice would you give to someone who wants to give up meat but just can't seem to get over that taste that they miss, or the texture that they miss? Like, what are some, what would be your advice to them?
that's such a, let's say, complicated question,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just about stop eating meat.
Right.
Just the physical act of saying, okay, I'm not going to eat any more meat. We have all of the psychological ramifications that go with eating meat. Like, for example, so you mentioned I'm a teacher, and I tell my students this a lot of times, that, you know, and I want to make things simple, because I think it's easy to remember stuff and it's really simple. So, for example, I have a classroom and I ask, is anybody a vegan? And nobody is, or even a vegetarian, and nobody is. So I'm like, okay, so the students range from, let's say, 18 to maybe 45 years old. So depending on how old you are, that's how long you've been eating meat, because nobody's a vegan or vegetarian.
Right,
so I'm like,
right.
okay, you've been eating meat, let's take a 35-year-old. You've been eating meat for 35 years, right? So I challenge the students, I say, try to do vegan for, you know, a week or two. See if your body feels any different, see if you feel any different, see if you have more energy. Just see if there's any difference in the way your body feels, or the way you think, or the way you behave. And they're like, oh, I'm like, you've been eating meat for 35 years. I'm only saying quit for a week or two. You know, to see if there's any benefit. So, you know, when you kind of think about it like that, they're like, oh, okay, it's only a week. And then, of course, I don't force anybody. You know, I have to say that in every class, that I'm not here to convert people. Because, you know, people take offense to that when you tell them not to do certain things if they really. So let's get back to your question, though. When you asked what advice would I give somebody, and said it's a complicated question, because there's psychological ramifications associated with meat. You've been eating it all your life. We see meat commercials every day. It's kind of programmed in us. That's what our societies do. That's what our cultures do. That's what our families do. So, you know, when you weigh all of that, and then you have to have a strong enough reason to say, I can give all of it up. And it's usually psychological. So you have to really be clear about it in your head, that you have to have a good reason.
That is really good advice. It's like you have to. The reason needs to go deeper than just you want to lose weight or something. It's like it needs to be like you want to transform. Like you want to start the path to becoming your best self almost. It needs to be such a deep-seated motivation. But I think that's why I feel like you probably have a lot of people really listening to you when you talk, because you're not trying to force it on them, and it's more just like, because obviously you have a very like I think that the problem is a lot of people, when they listen to vegans, sometimes they can come off as judgmental or as very kind of like strict in their way of thinking, versus since you tie the spiritual aspect into things, you give off like a calmness, it's like just letting the results speak for themselves in a way, instead of trying to force people into doing something that they don't want to do, because that doesn't, because like it's like you say a lot with energy, how it all comes down to the energy, and if they're gonna listen to you, your energy can't be all erratic. So it's like yeah, I could see how, I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of people like engage with what you're saying and everything, right? Like it's not like they try to argue with you, or what's that like?
Well, there's usually one or two people that are really resistant, but I just remind them that it's not about, I'm not trying to make you become vegan. I'm just here to share information.
Right.
And then when you have more information, you can make a more informed decision. But I just want to go right back to that question you asked, just so we can get into the practical aspect.
Sure,
so
yeah,
there's the psychological part, but there's still things you can do that would help you kind of shift your views, your beliefs. So you can start by, I mean, if you're interested in it, then you obviously you're willing to do something. You might not want to give, because a lot of people say, I'm just not ready to give up meat. I love meat. Okay, but you know, I love it so much I just can't not eat it. So I say, okay, well, why don't you try doing 2 raw meals per day? So maybe for breakfast you have a smoothie and a salad for lunch without meat, and then for dinner you have your meat meal. So maybe you have, you know, whatever grilled piece of chicken or fish, grill that, and then have it with a vegetable, or, you know, sweet potato, whatever. So you do that for a period of time. 2 raw meals, 1 cooked meal, or 2 vegan meals, and then 1, you know, non-vegan meal or non-vegetarian meal. And even that in itself is a benefit to the body, because you're reducing the toxic load, and you're reducing the stress on the body to digest and process that meat. So
that's true, and it's like giving you a little bit of a bridge to veganism, instead of just jumping right in head first. When, like you said, some of these people, you start off, it's like if you're eating meat 35 years, it is going to take some time to transition.
And then, if you really want to stop, we can talk about, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but we can talk about, the energetic aspects that we talked about.
Let's talk about it.
We'll talk about it right now. Okay, well, as you had mentioned how, when you eat the animal, if they've been stressed and they're, depressed and sad, because animals do have emotions, and they're that fear. So all those emotions are fear emotions. There's only love and there's fear. So if it's anything that we would call negative, negative per se, then it's going to cause those animals to release different types of, chemicals into the meat. But and that, they say, makes the meat taste a little bit different. But everything is energy.
Right.
So flesh of an animal, our flesh, trees, sand, rocks, whatever, everything is energy. You look at it on a micron level, and then it can be broken down into light or even vibration. So that includes the meat. So we have a vibration.
Right.
And we have a energetic frequency, and that's some of the things that we can do to heal ourselves. But with the meat, when we ingest the lower vibrational substance, then that can affect our vibration, and it can bring our energy down. And even so, you can look at this on the physical level, and you can look at it on the energetic level. On the physical level, just flesh in general is really taxing for the body to process. When you look at the physiology of a human being, and then you look at the physiology of an animal that actually eats meat, totally different.
Right.
And their bodies can digest it and process it a lot faster than we can. But so there's that stress on the body from that, and then, like we just talked about, the animals in fear, there's hormones that are released, and that affects us. And it's said that meat eaters are usually more aggressive than vegans or vegetarians. And that's not a judgment. I mean, a lot of stuff you can actually validate by just doing a little research, which I'm a big proponent of, doing your own research. Everything that we even talk about here, I always suggest people do their own research.
Definitely.
So they can get it firsthand, just like you want to get your nutrients firsthand.
Of course.
If you're eating meat, you get them secondhand. And I'm laughing, but I promise I'm not judging folks. I just am pointing out that there's certain things that when we know better, we can make better decisions.
Yeah.
But I think innately or deep down inside, people really know what's best for them. I'll give you a real quick example, because as a trainer, I've had clients that had like daycares, and that one in particular, she asked me to come in a couple of times a week and work with the little kids between 2 and 5 years old. So we did things like yoga and run around and things like that, but then we did a nutritional piece as well. And it was really simple. I mean, real simple stuff, like showing them a Snicker and an apple and asking them which one they thought was the healthiest.
Right.
And everybody said the kids. These are 2 and 3 year olds saying the apple. Or a bag of potato chips and a banana, and they said the banana, so that we know.
That's really interesting.
We know, yeah. It was interesting. And then as we progress through life, and I said a little bit earlier about society and family and culture and tradition, and all that pressure to, well, I'm not going to say pressure, but that's just the exposure we have. But if you decide you don't want to do it, there might be a little pressure. Because people are like, well, you're not eating meat, you're sitting over there eating your salad, and you're eating like a rabbit or whatever, but, so...
It's almost like you need to, it's almost like in order to really do it, you have to be so aware that the reality you're living in isn't, like, that there could be a different reality that you could be living in. That, you don't have, life doesn't have to feel so hard all the time, and you don't have to be depressed all the time, and you don't, because I think a lot of people just get used to being unhappy. And they don't even consider that they could feel any different. They just get used to thinking that, my relationships are always going to suck. My job is always going to suck. That pain that's in my back, I'm just getting older. It's always going to be there now. It's like we just, growing up, we just learn to cope with pain better. And just better and better to cope with the pain. But then it all shows up later when we're depressed or have heart attacks or whatever. So it's developing that self-love is probably the first step, maybe, in going vegan, understanding that you're worthy of a better life and of a better health and all that kind of stuff. So do you meditate and stuff like that, or how do you come to these understandings?
Good question. I do meditate. Like I said, it all started in the gym, which is, was physical at first, but, practicing a little yoga. And I do yoga pretty much every day. And meditation every day. You don't really have to meditate for a long period of time. And there's probably some information that we could probably talk about meditating in more depth.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that makes it really simple is I think we had talked about this when we first started talking about this type of information, about the Powernow, which is Eckhart Tolle's book.
Great book, changed my life.
Yeah. So the Powernow, basically, when you're in the moment, that is a form of meditation, and it's a connection to a part of you that you can't make when you're thinking about the past or you're worried about the future.